Why, as women, do we have such unhealthy relationship with ourselves? Why are we so unhappy?
Here's your answer.
Why are we so insecure and lack
Oh my goodness,
confidence
why
in
is my
I'm gonna
phone
put
not
the
working?
subtitles on.
I like to explain it from
There we go.
understanding that men and women are wired differently. And that's why I have a different solution for women and a different solution for men
That's
in our
right.
relationships and in our marriage. And there's a photo that I like to use. On the left side, at least while I'm looking at it, it's my left side. On the husband's brain or a man's brain, men are pragmatic and they are problem solvers. And then on the right side, where it says a wife's brain, or we can substitute and say a woman's brain, the tracks are going every which way. And that's because as women, we are highly emotional and we make ourselves very complex and very complicated beings. And in society, in therapy, in the books we read, and talking to our friends, all validate and enable this belief in ourselves that we are highly complex, highly emotional, and complicated. And it is this belief that we are emotional and complex and complicated that we as women have such an unhealthy relationship with ourselves and so unhappy. As women, buying into this belief that we are highly emotional causes us to have low emotional intelligence in life, meaning we are not in control of our emotional state. Whereas on the other hand, men are wired to be pragmatic. They're wired to be problem solvers. So they are in the best way simple and move into a solution-oriented way of thinking to find solutions to the problems that come up in life. As women, we've made ourselves so complicated and so complex that we don't go into problem solving. We get trapped and stuck in our emotional state. And we don't realize that that low emotional intelligence, that inability to be in control of our emotional state, feeds our victim stories of why we have low self-esteem, why we can't seem to get ourselves together, why we feel like we don't know who we are, why we feel disconnected or a sense of emptiness in ourselves. And we live life as victims, meaning believing that our experience of ourselves has happened to us, that our life is happening to us, and it's someone or something else like our husbands who are responsible for our unhappiness. And in this place, when we are victims, we can't change. And when we allow our external world, like our husband, our marriage, our career, our kids, our family, to be in control of our experience, we give our power away and we have no ability to change. And we stay stuck in having low emotional intelligence. What we don't realize is that it isn't the people and things in our lives that cause our experience. It is the internal experience of ourselves, our internal emotional state, that creates the experience that we have of our different relationships, like our marriage, our career, our kids, etc. That determines the lens and the perspective of which we see and view our lives. And as women living in low emotional intelligence and putting the power outside of us to the people and things to determine our experience of ourselves, that's where we get caught in constantly blaming our husbands and looking to what is it about them and who they are and how they are showing up or not showing up that's causing the experience that we're having of our marriages and
This
that we're having
isn't
of
just a
ourselves.
woman
And we never
problem.
realize that it's the unhealthy relationship that we have with ourselves, buying into this myth and idea that we are complex, highly emotional, and that we that's just how we live our lives and that's just how we are. That's the very thing driving us
Don't get emotional
to have
about
an
it.
unhealthy relationship with ourselves.
Okay.
We are
Yeah,
not
you
in
guys have a
control
good
of our
night. God
emotional
bless.
state.
It's clouding
We
your
don't
How
have
about
low
you?
Evil, no.
intelligence.
Come on.
No.
We live from
I'm
an internal
good
state of
because
being sped up, emotional,
he was gonna say
worried,
don't get emotional
and
about
creating
it.
problems
You
in our
wanted to
lives
hear her side,
and
right?
living in
Like how
blame,
she
which again, from
explains
that
how
place, then we
women
can
are
never
unhappy,
change.
right?
Yeah,
So what
I
happens
was
is we
I was
watch
Just
listening
listen
to
ourselves
to
it.
listen
I
to
make
what
the
listened to
same
a good
unhealthy
portion of
choices.
it. I
you
don't
can
Make the
think
same
criticize
unhealthy
it.
reactions
I'm not.
to life.
No. We want to hear your criticism. Just hear her out real quick, and then I want to hear your criticisms.
And we feel very bad about
I mean,
ourselves.
if this
And
guy's
we
just gonna
begin to
call me
feel because we
emotional
never
the whole
change
time, like
because
I'm
we're
not
living in
interested
victim
in
and giving
having
power and control
like
outside of
if we're
ourselves.
gonna have a conversation, it's gonna be productive, and there's
We're
gonna be
not
no weird
saying
name
that men
calling.
aren't emotional either, but just
We never
we'll get
change
to it.
because it's impossible to change as a victim.
Just hits
So
play
what
on the
happens is we
video.
watch ourselves make those same unhealthy choices, have those same unhealthy reactions, is we begin to think there's something wrong with us, that there's something about us that we just can't change and we're defected in some way. And that at the core of that, we feel internally that we are wrong, that who we are is wrong and bad. So the solution of what us as women need to do to build a healthy relationship with ourselves and to be happy so that then we can have a happy marriage and a healthy, happy, loving relationship with our husbands is that we have to learn to develop high emotional intelligence, the ability to be in control of our emotional state, to recognize that our emotional state is coming from us, that it's not happening to us because of our past or our relationship with our dad or from our husband or anything or anyone else in our lives, that it is our response to life that creates our internal emotional state. So we have to learn to be in control of that, which is developing high emotional intelligence. And that's what I teach women how to do in my happiness program and then in a more advanced way in my Happy Wife program. But the foundation first, before a woman can work on her marriage and work on what I call being a happy wife, we have to have the foundation of being happy within ourselves, meaning knowing how to have a healthy relationship with ourselves, learning how to develop high emotional intelligence and have healthy responses and reactions to life and be able to see the truth of our husbands in our marriage and to see them as good, to see them as good men and how they do show up caring and loving and kind. It's only our relationship with ourselves that makes us see it any differently. And what we want to understand is that underneath the complexity that we have built ourselves to be as women, what we want to understand is that is not our true nature. And when we live from that perspective of being not in control of our internal emotional state and having low emotional intelligence, it covers up the true nature of who we are as women. So the beauty is that when we learn to develop high emotional intelligence, we unlock the true nature of who we are internally. And what you will find, and this is what I found for myself, is that we are simple, happy, calm, grounded, genuinely flexible and easygoing, stable, adaptive, soft, kind, and we can live from what I call our woman wisdom. The ability to understand ourselves, the ability to understand how we make issues and challenges complex and project our high emotional state onto situations so that we can catch ourselves and actually train ourselves to go into problem solving and being pragmatic so that we are not reacting to life from a place of not being in control of our emotional state. And what happens when we train ourselves to do that and we have the capacity, it's already in us. There's nothing we're missing. There's nothing that happened to us as kids or happened to us in our upbringing that would prevent us from being able to be in control of our emotional state. What happens when we live from that place of high emotional intelligence is we begin to feel good about who we are. And we begin to be confident in ourselves. We begin to trust ourselves and learn to navigate life from a place of being pragmatic and from a place of being able to problem solve, which just makes us feel that much better about ourselves because we show ourselves that we are important to ourselves, that we matter, that we already have everything we need within ourselves to be successful and navigate life. And that all comes from being in control of our emotional state.
I'm gonna cry.
Respectfully,
That
if
was
a man
beautiful.
had made this video, it would have been 90 seconds long.
Sorry, what's that, B-Tax?
If a man had made this video, it would have been 90 seconds long and not 10 minutes.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay,
so go ahead, Eplord.
I mean, again, just watching this video, like, it's kind of like, duh, like,
I know for you
you
it is
can't be
because
ruled
you're
by
a good
your
Christian woman.
emotions.
What?
Oh, okay, but like,
That's all. So that's why you can see like why it's
but
important
men
for us men to know
also,
this,
but men
right?
also need to understand.
You know, I
like,
agree with
men
you.
also need to develop high emotional intelligence.
Perfect.
The way she framed it made it seem as though like this is a problem only amongst women. I would argue
No,
that
not
men are
necessarily.
also emotional, but the way in which their emotionalness manifests is
Oh my
different.
gosh.
No, right?
Why are you making this
exactly.
like a sex war? It's just weird.
I mean, I think
There's
it's
no
just
war.
weird to me that a bunch of dudes are like watching this, and it's like it's secular. So it's like, why are you consuming like this secular?
I
We
don't
know
think
the
it's
other
media?
side. You know how many douchebags come in this VC every day? Like, we understand that they're evil.
Yeah. So like,
Wow.
let me
but, like-
give you my
look at
answer,
this Rick
Eplord.
Logan guy. Look at Rick Logan. Dating a woman in this time is frightening.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's horrendous.
117 likes. That's a lot of support.
Okay,
Like-
if this course is like actually for women, why are the comments just full of dudes like dogging on ladies?
Loving dudes. These
no,
are all
hear
good
me
boys
out.
in the comments.
Hear me out. Okay, so Eplord, right? So thank you for staying until like watching the whole video, right? Where she comes back around, she says, you know, what she's advising women to do is to work on their women wisdom, right? Where they recognize that they are soft, kind, right? And reaffirming in that. And in doing that and learning to emotionally regulate themselves, they're going to be able to look at things from like a more pragmatic, problem-solving method and meet their men in the middle. Why is it important for men? You're questioning why is a bunch of like dudes like watching this? Because for us, we need to be aware of this and look for women that have those traits. That's why it's important for us, for both men and women, to be part of the Happy Wife Academy. Because
Yeah, it's not wrong. Oh, yeah, no.
I think though, if you are the kind of man that is ready to be married and like understand your role, then you wouldn't have to be taught what to look for in a woman because you would understand.
What's wrong with looking at the
That's
pitfalls
not-
of
If you
life?
already
though?
have, if you already have
Pitfalls of life,
knowledge, you
though.
don't need to get knowledge.
so
But
like
also, again, you're Catholics. Why are you watching this like weird secular video?
because
Go
we're,
read.
because we're Catholics in this
theological-
world, Eplord.
Right. And we're supposed to like bring heaven down. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know why you're
Yeah.
trying to like secularize and this.
So getting back to the point of the video though, Eplor, so
Very
think about it, okay?
contentious.
So I mean
Contentious
you're able
woman.
to recognize that the way men and women operate emotionally is different, right? So that's all we're asking as men, as men to women. It's like you have to realize that for men, we are trained to regulate our emotions. We have to. We can't act out. If a man is on his purpose and is trying to build a life for himself to be that provider later in life, that he can even provide that for his women, you know what I mean? He's not going to get away, and he's going to be judged by other men if he's like acting out emotionally. You're not going to see men do that. They're like, trust me, that's just not how men
I
regulate each other.
disagree
So
though, because
a
when a
man
man is
is,
emotional,
uh-huh.
usually the way emotions manifest in men tends to be more like violent. Like they can't control their like anger and aggression, as opposed to with women, it's more like the weepy, sad things that they maybe struggle with. Like,
I disagree with you on that one. Like
I
I
mean,
think that's a gross like that's like a caricature of like what you're seeing from like Looney Tunes and stuff.
no, not. I mean, I disagree. Like literally, because when you think about like the quintessential like immature man, like a man child is someone who like throws tantrums and just gets violent and like when and angry when he doesn't get his way.
This is
Like
petty.
that is an
That's not who's in
emotionally
the. Yeah,
immature man.
yeah, this is petty. That's not who's in the comment section, though. These are victims in the comment section.
I'm not saying that's what these men are, okay? I'm not calling these men that. I'm saying that like I think men and women have the capacity to be emotional and are called to develop emotional intelligence, like the skill of like emotional intelligence. Both are called to develop it.
So
Do you think
so
I
equality
think
is
the way in
possible
which
on the. Like,
emotions
I don't know what
end
this is
up
going
like
on.
playing out for men, usually that they need to figure out how to control is their aggression, their anger more so. Women need to get
again, that's just
This
prejudice,
video is
Eplor.
on that. So,
what?
Is all right. So case in point, this woman helped me out so much as I experienced a crumbling marriage. I was going insane trying to figure out my wife's crazy bullshit when I found this channel. Now I have peace, understanding it's simply my wife taking out on me how she feels about herself. In the biblical order, God placed the man over the woman, and it makes complete sense now.
But
And then here's the
this puts
reply.
all of the
Yeah,
fault on the
you should
woman, and
honor your
it
vows and
makes
stop venting about your
the
wife that
man
God
in these
assigned you to lead.
situations
Don't look
think
silly when
that
she
it's
comes
all on the
behind.
woman.
No, no, no. But you were asking like, why is a bunch of men getting out of it? This is precisely what we're getting out of it. It's important for us to know that if we have a woman, like, first of all, to screen women that are going to exhibit traits that are going to be unhealthy like this, but secondly, like this man right here, once he was able to realize that, oh, that's what's happening, he's not going to feed the monster. You get what I mean? And now he's in a happy
yes.
place.
Okay, I'm done now. Thanks.
Good. Okay, bad women,
So,
bad men. Gotcha. Great. Awesome.
oh my God, Karen, you mean I'm
There's.
not a terrible husband my wife says I am? I always knew it, but working to keep my sense of self has taken all my mental and physical energy. Sorry to say, but I feel like I am the abused spouse, even though most, if not all, women believe the men are the problem. Thank you for lifting my spirits. There's hope for me.
I don't know. Well, she keeps thinking there's like an injustice that needs to be amended or something. That's not really what's happening.
Why are women so obsessed with happiness? How can you go through a full day in perpetual happiness? Being happy is a temporary emotional feeling. Happiness is getting a hug from your child. You are not going to hug your child for 14 hours a day. Being content in life with the things and experiences you have is the daily goal. Having crazy expectations of perpetual happiness is absurd. Look at the pictures of men and women in the 1800s. Nobody's smiling. Nobody 150 years ago or longer had time to think about if they were happy or not happy. Our great grandparents had duties, hard work with purpose and agency to fill their days. Modern tech and advances in civilizations has allowed today's people to become lazy, purposeless, narcissistic, and general pieces of shit. There is no contentment anymore. Comparison to other people's grandiose lives has caused a corrosion of contentment, which results in dissatisfaction and bitterness.
Bless Karen. Was that her really? That's really her name, Karen?
Yeah, I guess her name is Karen.
Jeez.
Women can be pragmatic and problem solvers. Women don't have to be emotional wrecks. My main responsibility as a husband, father, son, brother isn't to validate the emotional responses of women in my life. Karen, you have changed my worldview. See? Eplor, are you there?
Yeah. Gosh. This is the thing. Like, you don't. Okay, I will say it's. I just don't think it's equal when it comes to relationships.
It isn't.
More guys are getting screwed over than girls in relationships. And when they complain about guys screwing them over, it's like it was you that wanted to go out with an F boy to begin with. And that's like, what, 3% of the population anyway, so.
That's part of the reason why I don't go out as much, cuz like even when I go out with like my friends who are married, or like, you know, you just go out and then you'll find other couples there, or you'll meet other couples there and stuff, dude. Like sometimes, yeah, I do get approached by women who I already know either one have a boyfriend or they have like a husband. Yeah, and because I'm a Catholic, it feels gross to me. So it's like a complete turn
Yeah.
off. You see what I
No, I
mean?
know what you mean.
Because it's just
Every
like,
time. That happened to me a lot back then.
and I can only say that because, you know, I'm pretty content in my Catholicity, so to speak, or like, you know, like
Mhm.
I'm not out here to like try to smash girls all the time, even though I could. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah,
just, I don't want to
true.
be a degenerate person, so
That's
it's like,
exactly it. Like,
what?
every job that I've had every girl had a boyfriend or something, and every one of them wanted me. At every job. I worked with my sister at some hair salon I didn't do hair, I just worked refurbishing. I was just kind of the repairman. But that same temptation always kept coming.
It's
And
just
it
women
was
in
like,
today's world, they just think they can do whatever the fuck they want. Like, it's really crazy like that. And if
and you
you
got to do the right
don't,
thing
they
so you don't
freak out.
be.
Sorry, go
You have to make the right choice as a man because of God. Like, I'm not going to do that because I don't want to be one of these so-called douches that Eat Lord kept talking about, obviously.
Wait, we should tell him on me again.
I know.
Most women today are too entitled, too broken, and lack the ability to empathize with men they choose to marry. As a result, any contractual agreement with these creatures is usually non-beneficial at best, or a destructive liability at worst. If the individual who runs this channel is what she claims, then there may be hope for other women. Amazing.
Right. I would
So
like to get, like,
what are we talking about?
yeah, no.
Oh,
The unsung requiem of all the heartbroken good boys of the world.
And
Nobody
this is
cares.
and this is
So,
Nobody knows either.
I know,
So
so
right?
it says happy wife school, but like, so are all the viewers men?
I guess. You know, like sometimes we'll see comments and it'll be like, I tried to show my wife this, you know, to fix our marriage. And she, you know, she refuses to watch your videos. Like, occasionally we'll see these
no,
comments.
you gotta like Clockwork Orange to watch it.
See, look, a prudent wife is from the Lord. Agreed. And this is one of the main reasons why I stayed single and I never got married nor had any children from any woman, because of their overall unhappiness within themselves. Then projecting it onto men, starts blaming men for their unhappiness, thinking it's a man's job to make them happy. So I completely got away from all of this. I've seen this from my friends to family members to our next door neighbors, and I opted to never go through this. I guess I had the instinct to go do what my guts tell me, and I stewed, and it stewed me right this time, and I was smart enough to stop, listen, and paid very close attention.
hmm Also, I would disagree with her on one point. I understand that pragmatism is good and things like that, but wisdom definitely trumps them being the main pragmatist in the relationship,
Agreed.
because obviously that's the main duty of the man. So it's like being understanding that this is a causality that's taking place and being aware of it, and you know, pinpointing things and things like that. Like I'm friends with this girl Haley. I've known her since she was 13. She's like 20 now. And I helped her through scripture to come to understand these causalities and take accountability for her actions when she did wrong, or even when people wronged her and things like that. And it took like, you know, a year or something or two, but eventually she's 20 years old now, and she's understanding. She's wise now. She has wisdom, and it's all thanks to God, obviously. And I'm very grateful, because she was going to totally turn out into a complete skag. I could just tell, because she was totally unfettered, had no like masculine figure at all. She didn't have a father, and her uncle who lived with her was just like a crackhead and just a complete scumbag. And I was like, obviously I had compassion. I'm like, I can't let you. I mean, I don't know, because she was friend of a friend, but then we got closer, and I just kind of took her under my wing. But yeah, I could see what it took to bring her to that point. To one, she respected me, and two, you know, understanding like all these problems isn't because the world is against you. It does have to do with you too. Like, you are kind of the reason why a lot of these horrible things happen. You escalate when it doesn't need to be, and you had the power to choose to like stop it, you know. Just like Jesus taught, like, you don't have to perpetuate this. You can keep it from happening by simply choosing what God said.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I want to say that this quote unquote secular marriage stuff doesn't apply to Christian women. But the thing is like that's not even true. I see a lot of crazy Catholic women or even crazy Christian women. I mean,
I
take a
don't think
look
it's
at
that secular.
yeah. I don't think it's all that secular at all either. That's what I'm saying. Like we found him. We found him. Right. Look at this guy. I would show this to my wife, but I know she'll just shut down, act distracted and annoyed, and then get angry. Um, I wonder if you have more male or female followers. It strikes me as material men want to hear to validate our mistreatment. Conversely, I have trouble imagining my wife being open to hearing these difficult truths without lashing out if I were to bring it to her awareness.
They lash, they kick and scream. It's honestly,
How's
she's
that
not
my
saying
fault?
anything bad. I mean, she's calling people to be considerate and more loving to each other. How's that bad?
Bro, that's why my volume's bad, bro. It don't. I turned it down.
I
Tell
notice
them.
with my wife that she's typically more pleasant to deal with when I'm in a rare rotten mood. The rest of the time, everyone walks on eggshells around her. Oh shit.
Oh
Bruh.
boy, do y'all worship Mary?
Yo, we got female perspective. I've
No,
never
they don't
been
worship Mary.
I've never been very emotional as a woman. I honestly don't understand why women let their emotions dictate so much of their behavior. Feelings aren't really all that important in life. They change and generally don't matter. My marriage is very
But
peaceful and wonderful. The only time I get emotional is when it is in regard to my child. Fair. I've had to look at the situation from a third party perspective and judge it from a logical point of view. This helps a lot. This is a great video, but I don't think any of the ladies that need to hear it will watch it, and if they do, they will blow it off. Interesting. This comes from a
Yeah.
woman who's married.
Yeah, it's just, honestly, it's just teaching prudence, to be honest, and be aware of, you know, what's happening inside you. I mean, the Bible does that. The Bible's a double-edged sword that cuts in between soul and spirit.
yeah, bro, y'all
The
worship Mary.
discerner.